Days turned into weeks. The homestead's power cells dwindled. Kaelen scavenged what he could from nearby wrecks, surviving on ration paste and fear. In the ruins of a crashed sandcrawler, he found a dented astromech, its dome half buried in dust. When he pried the casing open, a spark flared and the droid chirped indignantly. "Easy." Kaelen coughed through sand. "You still alive?" The droid warbled a long complaint, then projected a flickering hollow of its designation, CLNKR. Kaelen grinned weakly. "Clanker, huh? Guess it's just you and me." The droid beeped twice, agreement or sarcasm, he couldn't tell. But it followed him home, patching leaks, purifying water, and, in its own way, keeping the boy from falling apart. Clanker became Kaelen's family, his voice in the silence. He spent the next 8 years scavenging and training himself with a battered vibroblade he found in an abandoned outpost. The anger never left him, it sharpened. He dreamed of his father's face every night, the blaster flash replaying again and again until it was carved into his soul. By 18, Kaelen was tall, lean, and weathered like the desert itself. His eyes, once wide and blue, had hardened to steel gray. He and Clanker lived by fixing old droids, selling scraps to moisture farmers, and occasionally smuggling supplies for credits. Rumors traveled across cantinas like sandstorms, a man named Rivas, working off-world as an enforcer for a hut in the Outer Rim. Kaelen felt the force stir the first time he heard the name. Not the serene call of light, but a trembling, furious heat inside him. He packed supplies, recharged Clanker's motivator, and left Tatooine aboard a rust-colored freighter. As the planet shrank behind him, he whispered, "I'm coming for you." Over the next decade, Kaelen followed the trail from Nar Shaddaa to Ord Mantell, through scrapyards and spice dens, chasing whispers of his father. Clanker logged every rumor, every bounty posting, and every death Kaelen caused when people got in his way. He learned to fight with precision, blaster, vibroknife, and later, a scavenged lightsaber hilt he rebuilt from a fallen traveler's remains. The blade burned golden, a strange contrast to the fury in his chest. The weapon didn't make him a Jedi. It made him something else, a man pretending not to be broken. When he finally found Rivas, the man was gray-haired, heavier, and hiding in a mining colony on Ryloth. He didn't even recognize his son at first. Kaelen stood in the doorway, hood drawn low. "You left me," he said quietly. Ry froze, eyes narrowing. "Kaelen. Stars, you're alive." "Because she died for it." Kaelen ignited his golden blade. "Say her name." I can't." "Then you die remembering it." The fight was brief. Rage made it easy. When it was over, Kaelen stared at the smoking ruin of the man who'd made him and felt nothing. Clanker rolled beside him, beeping softly, almost mournful. "I thought it would end the pain," Kaelen whispered. "But it just made more." He spent the next 3 years drifting through the galaxy, never staying long enough to grow roots. He took mercenary work, then turned it down. He helped smugglers, then turned them in. Each act felt like penance, or rebellion against himself. Clanker was his only constant, patched together with new plates and a makeshift vocabulary of chirps that only Kaelen understood. The galaxy, meanwhile, was cracking. The Empire's shadow still lingered in forgotten corners, and whispers of new Sith cults spread through the Outer Rim. Kaelen felt their presence, faint, like the pulse of a coming storm. He tried to ignore it. He told himself he wanted peace. But peace never came. One night, while repairing Clanker's motivator in a dingy hangar on Corellia, Kaelen felt something shift in the Force. A pulse, faint, desperate, young. He followed it across the stars to Jeddah, a world scarred by holy wars and the remains of fallen temples. The city's edges were buried in dust, its people starving but proud. The Force was strong there, and heavy with memory. Clanker chirped uneasily as they landed their small freighter outside the ruins. "I know," Kaelen muttered. Feels wrong, doesn't it? They moved through the cracked streets at dusk. The wind carried voices, laughter, small, fragile. Ahead, 3 figures crouched beside a ruined fountain, wrapped in threadbare cloaks. Children. Alone. One of them, the oldest, raised a crude spear as Kaelen approached. Stay back. His voice was sharp, but his hands trembled. The other 2 stood behind him, smaller, silent. Kaelen lifted his hands slowly. Easy. I'm not here to hurt you. Everyone says that, the oldest spat. Then they try to take what's ours. Clanker beeped softly, projecting a small blue light to show empty palms. The gesture made the youngest, a dark-haired boy, step forward in curiosity. What's your name? Kaelen asked. The boy hesitated. Bryson. The other 2 exchanged glances. Ethan, said the second. The last, quieter, added, Jaden. Kaelen studied them, dirty, hungry, eyes older than their years. Survivors, like him. But something deeper stirred in the force between them, threads of light tangled with shadow. He exhaled slowly. You've been living here alone. Bryson's jaw tightened. Since the soldiers burned our camp. Kaelen nodded once, the pain familiar. I know what it's like to lose everything. Ethan stepped closer. Then why are you here? He looked at the 3 of them, frightened, defiant, unbroken, and felt a purpose stir for the first time in years. Because maybe, he said quietly, the Force led me here to make sure you don't end up like me. Bryson didn't lower the spear, but his grip eased. Jaden's eyes flicked to the golden hilt at Kaelen's belt, recognition and unease mingling in the dim light. The tension lingered, wary, electric. But in that silence, something ancient shifted in the currents of the Force. 3 lost children. 1 broken wanderer. And the little astromech that chirped impatiently, as if to say, well, are we staying or what? Kaelen almost smiled. Yeah, Clanker, he murmured. We're staying. That night, the 4 of them shared food beside the cold fountain under Jedda's pale sky. Kaelen listened as the children spoke, fragments of grief, flashes of anger. He heard himself in every word. As the suns rose, he looked at them and whispered, if you'll have me, I'll teach you to survive. Maybe even to live. Bryson met his gaze, suspicion giving way to something fragile, trust. Ethan nodded slowly. Jaden said nothing, eyes shadowed, already turning inward. Kaelen didn't yet know what the Force had bound together that night, that these 3 would one day shape the galaxy beside him and against him. All he knew was that for the first time since the desert and the scream, he wasn't alone. And somewhere in the dust, Clanker beeped softly, a single, hopeful note that echoed through the ruins like the first breath of dawn.